What is good, everyone? Drizzy MMA here, and I'm going to be talking about what went down the other night at UFC 329. Very, very disappointing. One of the most hyped up main events in a while. Conor McGregor's return, 5 years in the making. All of this hype, all of this talk, just for it to end the way it did. We'll go over the full card, but we will start off with the main event. Conor McGregor blows his knee the very first kick he throws. He comes into the fight, throws. I'm not even sure what you would call it. I think it's like a flying like switch kick. I'm not really sure. Lands on his knee, blows it. He comes back up, throws another kick, stumbles. Max Holloway lands some ground and pounds. They stand up again. Conor throws a right hand. He stumbles again. Max Holloway lands some ground and pound, calling for the ref to stop the fight. It continues. They end up standing up again for a second time, and then Conor, he looks like he's about to throw a kick, immediately grabs the knee, and that was it. The ref called off the fight. The worst way this fight could have ended. No, I think this is worse than if Conor went out there and just got knocked out by Max. I think if he went out there and had like a somewhat, had some success in the fight, but ended up getting knocked out, I think that would be a better look for him than blowing out your knee on the first kick that you throw. And it was a kick that probably wasn't going to land either way. I don't even know why he threw that. Usually he comes in the fights and throws that like spinning back kick to the body, but he went out there with a different approach this time. And yeah, I mean the worst possible thing to happen. I think this is probably the worst main event in UFC history. It was also the most expensive event to go to, the biggest gate in UFC history. People spent like $2,000, $3,000 on nosebleed tickets. I mean, obviously the card was still pretty good. The undercard actually was really good. I thought this card was one of the best of the year, but the main event was obviously the reason why they spent that money, and it ruined it. I mean, no one's talking about how good this card was anymore. They're just talking about how bad and how disappointing this main event was, and it really is. And I think this is it for Conor. I sadly think this is it. Conor's one of my favorite fighters. I grew up watching him since I was in like elementary school, so it's sad to see him go down like this. One of the biggest rises in combat sports history in general, and one of the biggest fall offs as well. Um, yeah, it's just sad to see he's just too old. Even if his mindset is fully there, which it did seem like he was, locked in going to this fight. It seemed like he was confident. It doesn't matter when your body just isn't there. Even if he has the skill, it doesn't matter if your body just can't handle it. You can't stay healthy. I'm sure taking a 5-year layoff, partying, drinking, not really training doesn't help. But it's also just aging in general. I think this is it. I think even if he does come back, he'll be like over 40 years old by then, just way too old. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for him to get another win. I see people calling for the Chandler fight. I think that could be a good fight, but I do think Chandler still wins that fight. I think Chandler still is in very good shape, and if you look at who Chandler lost to, it's only the best of the best fighters. I mean, Mauricio Rufy is probably a future champion. Before that, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Patty. All of these guys are top contenders. Conor, obviously, he's only lost to the best as well, but his losses are a lot worse. And I mean, this one obviously isn't a bad loss, like skill wise, but it just shows that Conor just isn't, in his prime anymore. His body isn't physically able to compete anymore without getting injured. This is back to back injuries. And yeah, it just sucks waiting 5 years. I was so excited for this fight, for this to end the way it did. I think that's it. Conor also did look a little bit nervous going into the fight, the walkouts. If you compare like the walkout to his past fights, he looks a lot more locked in before, just staring straight at the octagon. This fight, I don't know what it was. I don't know how to describe it, but he did look a little bit nervous going into it. A lot of people are saying that he was injured before. I see some of the conspiracies. Some of them make sense, but I'm not really sure. He was throwing that same kick in the back on the pads, and he looked fine. But there's also footage of him like putting on shoes and kind of stumbling and touching that knee. There's pictures of him at like I think a pain clinic. I'm not really sure what you would call it. Before the fight, there's I forgot who the guy was. It was an actor on the celebrity cam, and people were like doing like lip reading and saying that he was saying something about Conor's knee being messed up. There's a lot of conspiracies. I don't really believe it. I think Conor's knee was fine. I think it was just um, a horrible thing to happen. I think uh, yeah, I think he injured in the fight. If he did go into it injured, I don't think he would throw that kick. A lot of people were saying he was doing it to kind of get out of the fight fast, to get out of his contract. I'm not sure if he'd go that far. I think he could have. There's a lot smarter ways to do that without injuring, tearing your ACL, and having to get surgery and be out for another year. Yeah, it's just very unfortunate. Max Holloway gets the win. It doesn't really feel like a win for him either, though. It's kind of just like, I don't know. I feel like this fight should have just been a no contest. Honestly, it doesn't really help out Max getting the win on his record. He does want the rematch. It kind of seems like Max Holloway is just focused on money fights right now. He could have called for, a Justin Gaethje rematch. He could have called for Patty. He could have called for Charles Oliveira rematch, but it seems like he does just want the money fights. He is getting a little bit older, but I think he still can compete with the best. I mean, he beat Justin Gaethje 2 years ago, knocked him out, and dominated him that entire fight. I thought he was going to call out Gaethje, but he wants that Conor McGregor trilogy. It seems like he's trying to get the big money fights, which I don't blame him. If he doesn't care about titles, he's already gotten titles before. He doesn't really have to, but I really don't see them having a trilogy. I think if Conor does come back, it probably will end up being against Chandler. I think Max should probably fight Mauricio Rufy, Patty. I don't know if they'll give him Gaethje. I think Gaethje's probably going to end up fighting Charles, but I think Max is still able to compete with the best at lightweight. I think that's what his focus should be on, but he looks like he wants to get the money fights. We'll see what's next for Conor. I don't see him fighting again. Even if he does, I mean, he has to win his next fight. His plan is to win his next fight, and then go and fight big money fights in boxing. But if he doesn't win his next fight, the hype isn't really going to be there. It's going to be, no one's going to want to see a washed Conor McGregor box, like a washed Floyd Mayweather. They're going to see, Conor McGregor coming off of a big win in MMA, going into boxing. That's the type of fight. And I don't really think any of the boxing fights will even be that big compared to, Conor versus Floyd, both of them in their prime of their careers. It's not going to have that same hype anymore. But yeah, we'll see what's next. That's pretty much the end of this. Not much to really say about this main event. Not much happened at all. Nothing happened at all, actually. Not a single punch landed from Conor McGregor. Max Holloway landed a couple of ground and pound shots, but no damage done. The only damage done was, Conor hurting himself with his knee. But yeah, let's go on to the rest of the card. Paddy Pimblett gets an amazing submission on Benoit Saint Denis. Benoit Saint Denis shoots a takedown at the very beginning of the round. Paddy catches him in I don't know what you would call it would look like a guillotine a little bit at first, and then it looked like an anaconda choke. I'm not really sure what you would call it. Like a kind of like a Darce choke. I'm not sure what it is, but Paddy Pimblett looks amazing, bro. Everyone was counting him out after the Gaethje loss, but I mean, look at Gaethje. He went on and knocked out Ilia Topuria. This is a good win for Paddy. I think Paddy should fight Ilia Topuria after this one. I think that's a big fight. That can main event a numbered event without even having a title on the line. Two big stars, two future faces of the UFC. Paddy versus Ilia. I think that's the next fight to make, and I think that is a good fight for Paddy. I think he could win that fight. Stylistically, Patty does get hit a lot, but he has a very good chance. Scousers don't get knocked out like he says, so we'll see what happens. That's a good fight for the both of them. After that, Corey Sandhagen versus Mario Batista. I did get this one right as well. Mario Batista by decision. It was a very one-sided fight. Mario landed a lot of good shots. He dropped Corey in the fight as well. Just a very dominating fight from Mario Batista. I did say this was going to look a lot different than the first fight. Mario's continued to get better and better. You look at who he's lost to, Umar Nurmagomedov, one of the best fighters at bantamweight. Mario's looking very good. He's probably 2-3 wins away from a title shot. Should be very good to see. I'm a very big fan of Mario Batista. He's entertaining. He's a grappler. A lot of people like to say grapplers are boring, but I think his style of grappling is pretty entertaining. So good win for Mario Batista. After that, Brandon Royval pulls off the upset against Loner Kavanaugh. This fight was a war. Back and forth. Loner dropped Royval a couple of times, I think, and then Royval, I think he did drop Loner as well, and then ended up subbing him in the third round. Very good win for Brandon Royval. Back in the win column. We'll see what's next for him. I mean, he's kind of lost to a lot of the top guys, but he's also beaten a lot of the top guys, so he's kind of in a weird position. I think he can still fight for a title. I think him versus Joshua Van, a rematch, if they end up making that, is going to be another big fight because their first fight was so close and it was such a good fight. It ended up winning Fight of the Year, I think, this week at one of the MMA awards. So we'll see what's next for Brandon Royval. Very good win. Like I was saying, I thought Rolando Kavanaugh was going to win, but I was rooting for Brandon Royval, so I'm very happy he won. Um, In the first fight of the card, Bobby Green, King Green, I guess, Bobby Green taking on Terrence McKinney. This one was kind of a weird finish. Terrence McKinney was winning that first round, and then the end of the first round, Bobby Green lands like a body shot, drops Terrence McKinney, and he's landing ground and pound, and they stop it with a second left in the round. I thought they should have let it keep going. I think Terrence McKinney could have came back, but he wasn't answering to any of those shots for a while. But I feel like if the guy's winning the round, and especially if there's 1 second left, you might as well let it go to the next round. Kind of a weird finish, but Bobby Green has been looking very good recently. He's on a 4-fight winning streak now. I think next for Bobby Green is probably, I saw people saying Chandler. That could be a good fight. Bobby Green versus Chandler. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Nice win for Bobby Green. I did have him winning as well. Let's see, the Robert Whitaker versus Nikita Krylov. This was another very good fight. Robert Whitaker was an underdog. He went out there and knocked out Nikita Krylov. Robert looked very good. He did look a little, I've seen people saying look a little fat. He did look a little like, not as lean as he did at middleweight, but he was still fast. He looked like he was kind of gassing a little bit. I thought he was going to gas out, but he kept on going. He was just way faster. There's a very big speed advantage between him and Nikita Krylov. And yeah, he knocked him out in the third round. Very good win for Robert Whitaker. I'm excited to see what's next for him at light heavyweight. I think right now light heavyweight is very dead. I think he has a very good shot at fighting for the title. I think maybe they could do Robert Whitaker versus Costa. I saw Ankalaev actually today. Him versus Roundtree ended up getting canceled, and now he's gonna be fighting Bogdan Guskov. So we'll see what happens. Lightweight heavyweight division isn't really too stacked right now, isn't doing too good, but I believe Robert Whitaker is going to end up fighting for a title eventually at light heavyweight. He looked very good in this fight. I think after this, he'll probably be ranked like around the top 10. Nikita is number 12, so we'll see what happens. A very good win for Robert Whitaker. Gable Stevenson making his UFC debut. This fight was also very good. This fight was very back and forth. For Gable Stevenson being the biggest favorite in UFC history, this fight was a lot closer than it should have been. Even though he won in 2.5 minutes, it still was pretty close. Elijah Ellison landed a lot of big shots on Gable Stevenson. It was a war. Gable Stevenson pretty much just striking. He shot one takedown. Elijah Ellison stuffed it. But yeah, Gable Stevenson, his striking, he looks like you could tell that he trains with John Jones. A lot of those oblique kicks, those teeps to the body. His striking looks very good. Once he starts using that wrestling, it's going to be interesting to see how dominant he is. I think they should continue to kind of slowly build him up and eventually fighting in the rankings. And one day, I think he will fight for a title. He looks very, very good. Probably the best wrestler at heavyweight right now. I think the only other really good wrestler at heavyweight would be Josh Hockett. Him versus Hockett would be a very good fight as well. But I'm not sure if they'll fight each other. They do train with each other at Jackson Wink, so we'll see what happens. Good win for Gable Stevenson. At bantamweight, Cody Garbrandt versus Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez got a very nice knockout on Cody Garbrandt. This is another fighter, Cody. I think this is it. The past couple of years, his career has been really up and down. Wins and losses, but I think his chin just isn't there anymore. Cody Garbrandt used to be such a good fighter, but his chin is just the thing that holds him back. I think he still is that skilled fighter, but yeah, his chin just isn't there anymore. Very good knockout from Adrian Yanez. I got that fight right as well. I think the only fights I got wrong were the Tracy Cortez fight, and I think that was it. Let me see what other. I think that's the only fight I got wrong in the entire card. The Tracy Cortez. Oh, and the Royval Kavanaugh fight. Besides that, I got them all right. Yeah, very good card. On to the next fight. Luke Riley versus Kai Kamaka. Luke Riley looked very good in this fight. He just was way too fast for Kai Kamaka. There was a big speed advantage. And then he ended up getting a standing TKO. Some people were saying that it was an early stoppage. I thought it was good. I think if the ref let it go, then Luke Riley would have ended up knocking him out cold, probably after a couple of shots. I think it was a good stoppage. No need to take extra damage. Luke Riley getting the knockout win. 2-0 in the UFC, 2 knockouts. A bright future for him as well. Trains with Paddy Pimblett. Yeah, I mean, this guy is a very big prospect. I'm excited to see what's next for him. I think eventually could be a champion at featherweight. Featherweight is, actually featherweight's pretty decent right now, but obviously a lot of the people at featherweight have lost to Volkanovski, so it kind of makes it seem like they're not as good, but Volkanovski's just that good of a fighter. So we'll see what's next for Luke Riley. Another very good win for him. Tracy Cortez versus Wayne Kong. I did get this one wrong. I thought Tracy Cortez was going to use her grappling, but I don't think she shot a single takedown. She was just getting outstruck the entire time by Wayne Kong. Yeah, very one-sided decision. I'm not sure what's next for Tracy Cortez. I think she needs to just grapple more. I think she goes into these fights trying to strike, but her striking isn't as good, especially against someone like Wayne Kong, who has a way bigger speed advantage, and she is a striker. You know, she doesn't know how to grapple. If you look at her other fights, she gets taken down very easily. I thought that would have been the game plan for Cortez, but yeah, she stood there, struck with her, and yeah, Wayne Kong got the win by decision, very one-sided. After that, Damian Pinos, a very good knockout over Cesar Almeida. Knocked him out cold. This was a good fight. Cesar Almeida was winning that first round up until the knockout. I did think I'm pretty sure I predicted this fight by Cesar Almeida. I think he was going to win the first 2 rounds, but I thought Damian Pinos was going to knock him out late in the fight. It ended up happening sooner than I thought, but yeah, good win for Damian Pinos. I think he's probably a couple wins away from fighting in the rankings, so we'll see what's next for him as well. A lot of big prospects on this card. I think that's kind of the reason they did it. They knew a lot of eyes were going to be on it for Conor, so they put a lot of young prospects on the card to kind of build them up. Speaking of young, John Garza, 23 years old, making his UFC debut on 6 days' notice. And he had a very competitive fight for Reed Basharat. I thought it was 29-28, but I thought John Garza might have took it. I thought Fareed won the first. I thought John Garza won the second, and I thought the third could have went either way. I don't know how it was 30-27 on 2 of the scorecards. I thought it was a lot closer than that. But yeah, John Garza looked very, very good. Fareed Basharat, another very close decision. That's kind of, he is 16-0 now, but most of his wins are just very close decisions that could have gone either way. So we'll see what happens next for him. I'm not sure if it's going to really move him up the rankings, fighting someone that's, unranked and making their UFC debut. So we'll see what happens. John Garza, hopefully the UFC keeps him. This guy has a bright future. I think they should have him fight some, unranked fighters and slowly build him up. But this guy can definitely be, a top contender one day. So very good win, or not very good win, but very good fight for John Garza. Another win for Fareed Basharat. After that, Ryan Gondra versus Zachary Reese. A nasty knockout from Ryan Gondra. I did predict this as well. I did think this one was going to happen later in the fight as well, but happened right away. Not really much to say. A good win for Ryan Gondra. He's also on a win streak. Another guy at middleweight like Damian Pinas, who is probably a couple wins away from fighting in the rankings. So we'll see what's next for him. After that, the first fight of the night, Alessandro Costa versus Cody Durden. Costa got the win by submission. I thought he was going to win by decision, but yeah, got the win by submission in the second round. Not much to say about that fight. Overall, guys, this was a very, very good card. I think this is one of the best cards of the year, but the main event just ruined it. Honestly, if the main event ended up being a good fight, this probably would have been the best card of the year. But yeah, just horrible main event. I think this is the worst main event in UFC history. The worst thing that could have possibly happened. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. At first, I thought Conor's foot was slippery or something. But yeah, blew out his knee the first kick he threw. Yeah, we'll see what's next. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought about the event, who you guys had. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.